My name is Willow Carrington, 32 years old, senior project manager for a boutique architectural firm in downtown Seattle. I'm organized, steady, borderline boring in the best possible way. For 3 years, I believed my relationship with Ethan Barnes, 29, was the most stable part of my life. We met at a charity 5K. He spilled an orange sports drink on my shoes, apologized so many times I started to laugh. He followed me around the rest of the event, asking questions about my work, my hobbies, my favorite movies. He was open, earnest, warm, the kind of man who could make you feel chosen even in a crowd. 18 months ago, he moved into my condo, the one I bought before I ever knew him. He contributed to utilities, but I paid the mortgage, the maintenance, the repairs. I didn't mind. He was building his marketing career. I was already established. Relationships aren't scorecards, right? That's what I thought, until Tuesday at 4:15 p.m., when everything I believed about Ethan became ash. The therapy session. Ethan had suggested couples therapy a week before, just to improve communication, he'd said, touching my hand lightly. We're already good. I want us to be great. I remember smiling. I remember believing him. What I didn't know was that he didn't take me to a neutral therapist. He took me to his therapist, Dr. Celia Mitchell, a soft-spoken woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a serene presence that made the office feel like a sanctuary. Or it should have felt that way. Except the moment we walked in, Ethan seemed relaxed. Not tense like someone seeking help. Relaxed. Almost smug. There's no other word for it. The session began with formalities. Introductions. Relationship history. Dr. Mitchell asked thoughtful, structured questions. The room smelled faintly of lavender and old books. My heartbeat was steady. Then Dr. Mitchell asked the question that opened the ground beneath me. What specific goals would you like to work on together? I turned to Ethan, expecting something benign. Communication, conflict style, intimacy. Instead, he took a deep breath and said, calm as ordering a latte. Actually, I wanted to talk about my exit strategy. My smile froze. Dr. Mitchell blinked. Silence thickened, suffocating. Then Ethan continued, almost breezy. I've been using this relationship to work through my abandonment issues before I find someone I actually want to marry. It felt like a piano dropped onto my lungs. Dr. Mitchell stared at him, alarmed. She wasn't expecting this. I wasn't expecting this. My entire body went cold. Her voice was careful, almost trembling as she asked, Ethan, does Willow know about this perspective of yours? He laughed. Actually laughed. No, but she should be grateful. She's getting a relationship out of it, and I'll move on once I've worked through my stuff. It's kind of a win-win. A win-win? A win-win. My hands began to shake. Not violently, more like my body couldn't decide whether to collapse or combust. And in that moment, something inside me did neither. Something inside me solidified. A clarity as sharp as broken glass slid into place. I stood up, slow, deliberate. My voice was calm. So calm it didn't even sound like me. Dr. Mitchell, thank you for your time. This was very illuminating. Ethan's smirk flickered. Willow, where are you going? We still have 30 minutes. But I didn't look at him. I didn't answer. I didn't breathe until I was outside. The sky was gray and threatening rain as I walked to my car. Seattle weather usually feels comforting, a kind of moody embrace, but not that day. I felt hollow. Not angry, not sad yet, just emptied. My phone buzzed insistently in my bag. Ethan calling, texting, who knows, but I turned the phone off without looking. The silence was louder than anything he could have said. Halfway across the bridge toward home, the first real wave hit. He never loved me the way I loved him, not even close. Not when he moved in. Not when he touched my back gently while passing in the kitchen. Not during quiet movie nights, pizza boxes still warm between us. Not even during the moments he whispered I love you, like it was a confession. To him, I had been a stepping stone, a training ground, a practice partner. My throat tightened, but the tears didn't fall, not yet. When I got home, I didn't sit down, didn't think, didn't replay his words, though they echoed through my bones. I called a locksmith, paid the emergency fee without hesitation. By 7 p.m., the locks were changed, the electronic deadbolt recoded. The condo felt different, like it exhaled for the first time in months. I gathered Ethan's essential items into 2 boxes, toiletries, medications, a few changes of clothes. I wasn't vindictive. I didn't want him to suffer. I just wanted him out of my life before he could twist anything, or twist me, further. The concierge assured me he'd release the boxes only to Ethan. Perfect. Then I called Jade, my friend who's also an attorney. She arrived with takeout and legal reassurance. He's not on your deed, not the mortgage, not utilities, no shared accounts. Willow, he has zero legal claim. He's legally just a guest who overstayed. Her certainty steadied me. After she left, I finally powered my phone back on. The screen lit up with a tidal wave. 32 missed calls, 17 voicemails, 43 texts. At first, where are you? Why did you leave? Baby, answer. Then, you're being dramatic. You misunderstood. Come back to finish the session. Then, why can't I get into the condo? Did you change the locks? Seriously? You can't kick me out, Willow. I live there. And finally, I'm calling the police. The police say this is a civil matter. You've made a huge mistake. You'll regret this. My dad's a lawyer. His dad sells insurance. I typed one message. Just one. Your essential items are with the concierge. Collect them by Friday. Do not contact me except to arrange pickup. Then I blocked him. My hands shook, but not from fear, from relief. It was the first boundary I'd set in years, and the first one I knew, deep in my bones, I would never break. By Wednesday morning, the shock had cooled into something sharper. Not anger, something cleaner. Clarity with edges. For the first time in months, maybe years, my condo felt like mine again. The air moved differently. My footsteps echoed in a way that reminded me this place belonged to me long before Ethan ever walked through the door acting like he could stay forever. Even though, as I now understood, he never planned to. I hadn't slept much. Sleep felt like a luxury for people whose partners didn't confess that they viewed them as emotional training wheels. But I felt strangely steady. My body was exhausted. My mind, crystal. I made coffee, checked emails, tried to pretend my life wasn't unraveling in a spectacularly public fashion. Then the phone started ringing again. Calls from numbers I didn't recognize. I ignored them all. It wasn't until my front desk called up that I knew the day was officially beginning. Ms. Carrington, there's someone here to see you. I didn't even need to ask who. Is it Ethan? A pause. No, ma'am, it's a woman. She says she's his friend. Of course. The flying monkeys had arrived early. I didn't invite her up. I didn't owe anyone access to my home. But my phone buzzed a second later, this time with a voicemail transcription. Willow, this is Megan. What the hell are you doing? Ethan is hysterical. You locked him out of your condo with nothing. This is cruel. Call me back. Cruel. I laughed. Actually laughed. A sound even I didn't expect. I had been practice. 3 years of my life, practice. I hit call. She answered on the first ring. Willow, thank God. Ethan is sobbing on my couch. Megan, I said calmly, would you like to know why? What do you mean why? You locked him out. He told his therapist in front of me that he's been using our relationship to work through his issues before he finds someone he actually wants to marry. Silence, a long trembling silence. I heard her swallow. That can't be right. Then ask him, I replied. Those were his exact words. And then I hung up. I didn't give her a chance to argue, manipulate, minimize, or guilt me. I blocked her just as quickly as Ethan. One boundary at a time. My life was becoming quieter and better for it. By noon, I had just started clearing out Ethan's remaining toiletries when my building's intercom buzzed again. The concierge sounded uneasy. Ms. Carrington, a woman named Linda Barnes is insisting on coming up. She slipped past the front desk. Of course she did. Ethan's mother. I opened my door, arms crossed, ready for whatever performance she had prepared. Linda looked like someone who'd rehearsed indignation in a mirror. Her hair perfect, her eyes wet but not red, her purse tucked neatly under her arm like a shield. Willow, she exhaled dramatically, we need to talk about this misunderstanding. There is no misunderstanding, I replied. Your son made himself very clear. She pressed a hand to her chest. He told me you overreacted to something he said in therapy. Therapy is messy, dear. People say things they don't mean. Did he tell you exactly what he said? I asked. Linda hesitated, just long enough to give herself away. He said you misinterpreted. Then ask him to repeat his words, verbatim. After you hear them, decide whether I overreacted. Her jaw tightened. She wasn't used to being challenged. Regardless, she sniffed, you can't just throw Ethan out with nothing. He lives here. He does not. Legally, he has no claim to my home. His belongings are packed and ready for pickup. This isn't about legality, it's about decency. Ah, yes, decency. The word people use when they want you to endure mistreatment quietly. Linda, I said softly, decency goes both ways. Her lips pressed into a thin line. And then, like a dagger she didn't even know she was throwing, she said, "You know he never fully healed after Vanessa. You should have been more patient." Vanessa, the ex-girlfriend he claimed he was long over, the one he insisted I didn't need to worry about. A cold realization slid under my skin. Was I his practice because he still wanted her? Linda must have noticed the shift in my expression. She backpedaled quickly. I didn't mean Ethan just hasn't processed certain things. I think you've said enough, I cut in. She opened her mouth again, but I closed the door gently in her face. Not slammed, not rageful, just done. After Linda left, I called Jade again. She answered on speakerphone between court hearings because she's that kind of friend. Sharp, loyal, unshakable. Did his mom try the "but he's fragile" routine yet? She asked. She did. And the "you misunderstood him" bit? Yep. And let me guess, Jade added. She brought up the ex-girlfriend. I froze. How did you... Manipulators are predictable, Willow. They recycle material. I leaned against my kitchen counter, exhaling. Jade, what if Ethan and Vanessa... Stop right there. Jade's voice was firm. Do not fill in blanks for him. Let his actions speak. He told you what he's been doing. Believe him. I knew she was right, but the sting was there, sharp and sour. Because in 3 years, Ethan had never once slipped Vanessa's name. Not once, until his mother did. By late afternoon, Ethan tried a new tactic. Emails, texts from unknown numbers, all variations of, "Let me stay until I find a place. I'll sleep on the couch. We don't even have to talk, just let me in. You're being cruel." Cruel. There it was again. Cruel for taking away the home he never contributed to. Cruel for not letting him re-enter the space he used to sharpen his emotional weapons. Cruel for enforcing a consequence to his confession. I typed exactly one reply. "No, arrange to collect your remaining belongings by Friday, 5 p.m. His response? "Where am I supposed to go?" Not my concern, not anymore. He chose his words in that session, and now he would live with them. Around 7 p.m., I got one last call from his younger sister, Lily. Sweet voice, trembly with emotion. "Willow," she sniffed, "he's a mess. He didn't mean what he said. The therapist misunderstood." I was there, I said quietly. He meant it. "But he loves you." "No," I corrected gently. "He loved what I provided." Her whimper cracked through the phone. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Then I blocked her, and the condo fell into peaceful, sacred silence again. A silence I had been missing for far too long. By Thursday morning, the emotional fog had finally begun to thin. I wasn't healed, far from it, but I could breathe again. My condo felt brighter, lighter, like someone had lifted a weighted blanket off my chest. But the thing about manipulative people like Ethan, is that silence doesn't mean surrender. It means they're regrouping, and he regrouped fast. At 9:12 a.m., my phone buzzed with a message from an unsaved number. "Ethan, I need more time to find a place. Let me stay until I figure things out. You won't even notice me. I'll sleep on the couch." He always framed his requests as bargains he thought I'd accept if he minimized them enough. But there's no version of his presence that's small. I typed back one sentence. "No, you have until Friday at 5 p.m. to collect your belongings." 10 seconds later, "Ethan, where am I supposed to go?" My fingers hovered for a moment. Then I wrote, "Not my concern anymore." I didn't justify, didn't explain, didn't soften. Every time I softened for him, he pulled me closer to a cliff. Not this time. His final text. "You're choosing cruelty. You're not the person I thought you were." Funny, he wasn't the person I thought he was either. Blocked. By midday, Ethan had activated his backup tactic, emotional triangulation. People began calling me from every direction. His coworker, a neighbor he barely talked to, a cousin I'd met once at a barbecue, a woman whose name I didn't even remember. Each call had the same manufactured script. "Ethan is devastated. He didn't mean what he said. You're blowing one sentence out of proportion. Just talk to him." But the highlight of the morning was the voicemail from his aunt. "Sweetheart, men sometimes say foolish things without thinking. You need to understand his heart, not his words." His words were the only honest thing he'd given me in months. I blocked them all, one by one, cleanly, quietly. Every block felt like reclaiming another inch of my life. Around 2 p.m., I received an email notification from Dr. Celia Mitchell. For a moment, my chest tightened. I was afraid, irrationally, that she might validate something Ethan had said, that maybe there was context I missed. Maybe. No, I had heard him clearly. Still, my hand shook as I opened her message. Subject, follow-up. It read, Dear Willow, I want to respect confidentiality and the limits of what I can discuss, but I want you to know that I am professionally concerned about what transpired during our joint session. If you need support processing the experience, I would like to offer a complimentary solo session. Please take care of yourself. Warm regards, Dr. Celia Mitchell. I sat back, exhaling. She didn't say much, but what she didn't say was louder. She didn't try to reinterpret his words. She didn't frame it as a misunderstanding. She didn't imply I misheard. Her gentle concern was confirmation enough. I typed a brief reply thanking her but declined the session. Not because I didn't need therapy, God knows I probably did, but because I didn't trust myself not to break down completely if I sat in that room again. Not yet. At 4:30 p.m., another unknown number texted me. Willow, it's Ethan again. Please stop blocking me. This is getting childish. I just need stability while I find another place. Why are you doing this? Why can't you be compassionate? There it was. When guilt didn't work, he tried moral superiority. I didn't answer. 10 minutes later, you're going to regret acting like this. You're damaging your own character. And then, I can't stay with my parents. You know my mom drives me insane, and I can't afford rent on my own right now. Ah, the real issue. He didn't want to lose the financial safety net, not the emotional one. One simple reply. Should have thought about that before your therapy revelation. Blocked. At 6 p.m., my phone buzzed yet again. Lily, his younger sister. I debated answering. She'd always been kind, soft-voiced, and painfully naive. But something inside me softened just enough to pick up. Willow, she whispered, Are you really doing this? Ethan's falling apart. I sighed. Lily, I know he's your brother. I know you care about him, but he told me clearly that I was a stepping stone, a practice relationship. That's not what he meant, she cried. It was a therapy exercise. He was exploring feelings. He didn't mean it literally. Lily, I said gently. I was sitting 2 feet away from him. He meant every word. She sniffled. I just don't want him to be alone. A tear slipped down my cheek before I could stop it. Not for Ethan, for her. She was trying to hold a sinking ship together, not realizing the hole was carved from the inside. I can't fix that for him, I whispered. He has to face who he is and what he said. But you loved him, she whispered. I did, I replied, and he didn't. Silence. Then a small, defeated, okay. I blocked her too. Not because she deserved it, but because I needed peace more than I needed sympathy from someone who still believed Ethan was the victim. Just when I thought the day was over, I received one final message, this time from Kayla, a mutual friend from our running group. Willow, I don't want to get involved, but Ethan is telling people that the therapist manipulated him. He says she twisted his words to turn you against him. I didn't believe it, but people are starting to talk. I stared at the message for a long moment. Ethan wasn't regrouping. He was rebuilding the narrative, brick by brick, with me as the villain and Dr. Mitchell as the saboteur. A chill crawled up my spine. He wasn't just trying to get back in. He was preparing the world for when he couldn't. That night, I sat alone on my couch, wrapped in a blanket, listening to the hum of the refrigerator and the rain tapping softly against the window. For the first time, I understood something. Ethan didn't lose control. He never had it. He only had access. And I was finally cutting that off. One boundary at a time, one block at a time, one truth at a time. The storm wasn't over, not even close. But for the first time, I wasn't afraid of it. Friday arrived with a strange stillness, the kind that settles over a battlefield the moment before the soldiers march in. I woke up early, made coffee, tied my hair back, and opened every curtain in the condo. I didn't want shadows today. I wanted the light, harsh, unforgiving, honest. This was the day Ethan would come to get his things. This was the day everything would be final. I had 2 friends, Christina and Leah, coming over as witnesses, not because I feared physical danger, but because I no longer trusted Ethan to tell the truth about anything. He twisted narratives like origami, folding them until no one could see the original shape. By 11 a.m., my front door was locked, my boundaries were locked, and my resolve was locked. I was ready. At exactly 12:04 p.m., the call came from the concierge. Ms. Carrington, Ethan Barnes is here, along with an older man and a rental truck. His father, the so-called lawyer, the one who sells insurance. I told the concierge to send them up. There was a tightness in my stomach, not fear, just anticipation, like standing backstage, waiting to walk onto a stage you never auditioned for. The knock came, 3 sharp raps. Christina stood beside me. I opened the door. Ethan looked awful. Puffy eyes, red nose, unshaven. Not devastated, angry. His father, a tall man with a graying beard, stepped forward immediately in full theatrical indignation. "Ms. Carrington," he boomed, "this eviction is illegal. You cannot—" I held up a hand. "Sir, there was no eviction. Ethan never signed a lease, never paid rent, never had legal residency. He was a guest I asked to leave." His mouth opened, closed, opened again. I continued. "You're welcome to pursue legal action if you believe otherwise. My attorney is aware of the situation." The father hesitated, clearly thrown off by my calmness. Ethan stepped forward then, jaw tight. "Willow," he said, "can we please talk alone?" "No." One word, solid as concrete. He blinked, as if expecting something softer. When it didn't come, he stepped past me into the condo without waiting for permission. Christina and Leah followed him closely, clipboards in hand, ready to catalog items. The atmosphere changed instantly, like he brought a storm cloud into my home. Ethan began gathering his clothes, shoes, books, stuff I had neatly boxed earlier. But it wasn't long before the first dispute happened. He reached for my sound system, a high-end setup I bought years before he ever existed in my life. "That's mine," he said casually. Christina raised an eyebrow. "You sure?" "It was a gift," Ethan insisted. "Willow gave it to me our first Christmas together." My hands clenched reflexively, but before I could respond, Christina pulled out her phone. "Funny," she said, scrolling, "because here's a photo of Willow standing in her old apartment 2 years before she even knew you, with the same system behind her." She held the phone up. Ethan's face flushed. He looked trapped, cornered, exposed. His father stepped in again, clearing his throat. "Regardless, we will be taking it, and anything you refuse to release will be noted." "No," I said firmly. "You'll be taking only what belongs to Ethan. Nothing more." The father glared at me as if expecting me to cower. I didn't. Ethan backed down, not because he wanted to, because he had been caught. He settled for piling clothing, toiletries, random knickknacks into the truck. The deeper emotional items, photo books, souvenirs, greeting cards, I had placed aside in a separate box, not for him to keep, for him to choose whether to take or destroy. Even betrayal deserves closure. When everything was nearly packed, Ethan walked back into the living room. His friends were outside loading the truck. His father was pacing in the hallway. It was the first moment we'd been face to face since the therapy session. He looked at me, eyes red, voice softer than I'd heard in days. "Willow," he whispered, "can we please talk? Just 5 minutes. Just us." I didn't move, didn't blink. "There's nothing to talk about," he swallowed. 3 years, Willow? 3 years and you throw it away just like that, without even listening to my side? "I listened," I said, in the only moment that mattered. He flinched. "You're twisting what I said. I was exploring feelings. You completely misunderstood." "Ethan," I interrupted, "you didn't fumble a sentence. You revealed a plan." He shook his head violently. No, it wasn't like that. I just meant I was trying to grow before committing fully." "By using me?" I said quietly. Silence. His eyes darted to the window, to the floor, anywhere but my face. "You were supposed to stay," he muttered. "You weren't supposed to just leave." The truth in that sentence, that he expected me to stay no matter how deeply he hurt me, settled heavily. "I didn't leave," I said. "You did, the moment you decided I was practice." He stepped closer, voice desperate now. "If you walk away from this, you'll regret it." "No," I whispered. "This is the first decision I've made that feels right." His father called from the hallway. "Ethan, let's go. We'll handle this another way." Ethan cast one last look at me. Pitiful, resentful, longing, furious. A cocktail of emotions I no longer felt responsible for soothing. He walked out without another word. I didn't follow. I didn't breathe until the elevator doors closed behind him. By 5 p.m., the condo was quiet again. Empty of his things, empty of his presence, empty of the noise I'd mistaken for love. I sank onto the couch, tears finally threatening, when my phone buzzed. A new email from Ethan Barnes. Subject, the truth. A chill ran through me as I opened it. It was long, rambling, desperate. He blamed therapy terminology. He said I took everything out of context. He claimed he did want to marry me. Someday. He said he only expressed his temporary fears. He insisted Dr. Mitchell misunderstood. And then at the bottom, I love you, please don't throw us away. I read the entire thing twice. Then I closed the email and deleted it. Not out of cruelty, out of survival. Because I finally understood I wasn't losing him. I was getting myself back. The quiet after Ethan's move out didn't last long. Manipulators don't fade away peacefully. They don't sit in silence and reflect. They rebuild the narrative, and they do it fast. By Monday morning, I began receiving messages from people I hadn't heard from in months. Former mutual acquaintances, coworkers of Ethan's, people I barely knew. And every one of them carried the same poisoned script. The first message came through LinkedIn. LinkedIn, a platform for jobs, endorsements, and career updates, not emotional warfare. It was from a woman named Sasha, someone Ethan had introduced me to twice at networking events. Hey Willow, I heard about the breakup. Ethan is devastated. He said therapy got confusing and you misunderstood. You should at least hear him out. I stared at the screen, a hollow laugh slipping out. Therapy got confusing. That was his angle. I deleted her message without replying. Then came Instagram DMs from his cousin. Then a long Facebook message from one of his coworkers. Then a text from an unknown number, later revealed to be his gym buddy's girlfriend. All echoing the same narrative. Willow, it was one miscommunication. You're being unfair. He didn't mean it literally. You abandoned him without warning. He told me the therapist twisted his words. Twisted. The word rang in my head like a warning bell. Ethan wasn't simply defending himself. He was rewriting the story, casting himself as the victim and me as the villain. And worst of all, he was painting Dr. Mitchell as an unethical manipulator. The more people I blocked, the more it became obvious. Ethan had two skills, self-pity and performance. By Wednesday afternoon, after the 15th message from some distant acquaintance, I made a decision. I opened my laptop and drafted an email to Dr. Mitchell. Subject, clarification request, confidentiality waiver. I wrote, Dr. Mitchell, I am waiving confidentiality for the shared session Ethan and I attended. I'm requesting a written confirmation of what was said during that session, not about his solo therapy, but specifically our joint appointment. There are false narratives circulating, and I need an accurate record for my peace of mind and potential protection. Thank you, Willow Carrington. I stared at the email before hitting send. It wasn't revenge, it was defense. If Ethan wanted to weaponize lies, I needed truth loaded and ready. 2 hours later, her response arrived. Her reply was calm, professional, but precise. Dear Willow, thank you for your thoughtful email. Since you have waived confidentiality for the joint session, I am able to confirm the following. During the session, Ethan voluntarily stated he was using the relationship to work through his abandonment issues before finding someone he actually wanted to marry. He did not express that this was hypothetical, nor was he prompted by me to frame it that way. When I asked whether you were aware of this perspective, Ethan laughed and replied that you should be grateful for the experience. Your recollection is accurate. Warm regards, Dr. Celia Mitchell. I reread the email 3 times. Then a 4th. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't overreacting. I wasn't twisting anything. I had been humiliated, but I hadn't been wrong. I saved the email to a secure folder titled Documentation, just in case. That evening, I met up with 2 friends I hadn't seen much during my relationship. We ordered drinks at a small lounge overlooking the waterfront. It felt strange at first, like I was returning to a life I unintentionally abandoned. But soon the laughter came. Real laughter. Not the polite, measured kind I used around Ethan. Halfway through the night, my friend Maya leaned closer. Willow, you disappeared for the last 2 years. We missed you. I didn't mean to, I said quietly. But he didn't like your friends, she said knowingly. My breath hitched, because she was right. Ethan hadn't forbidden anything outright. He didn't slam doors or yell. He used subtler tools. We never spend time together anymore. Your friends don't seem to like me. Why do you need to go out? We could just stay in. You always leave me alone. They're a bad influence. They don't appreciate you like I do. Little nudges, little criticisms, little moments designed to create distance. Before I knew it, I was living in a 2-person world where the borders were drawn by someone who didn't actually want me in the long term. The realization burned, not with pain, with clarity. 2 weeks after the breakup, the final straw appeared in my inbox, a message from one of Ethan's supervisors. I heard you left Ethan after a miscommunication in therapy. He's not doing well. Even if you don't get back together, maybe just talk to him. He's blaming himself. Blaming himself. The performance evolved again. He was no longer the victim of me. no longer the victim of Dr. Mitchell. He was the victim of himself, a narrative far more palatable to outsiders because it sounded accountable while still excusing his actions. I didn't respond. I blocked his supervisor. Then I blocked Ethan's entire office directory. By the third week, the messages slowed. People stopped reaching out. The narrative machine ran out of fuel. Ethan's story began to erode. People always forget lies eventually. It's exhausting to maintain them. But truth stays sharp. One night, while folding laundry, I realized something. For 3 years, Ethan shaped my world so subtly that I didn't see it shrinking. Now, piece by piece, I was expanding again, reclaiming myself. My home, my friendships, my peace. Even my laughter sounded different now, like it belonged to me. But the peace was temporary, because the next twist would make everything far more complicated and far more dangerous. 3.5 weeks after Ethan moved out, I thought the chaos had finally settled. The texts, the calls, the flying monkeys, they all faded into background static. The world felt steady again. My condo was clean, my mornings were quiet, my evenings were peaceful. For the first time in years, I could hear myself think. But peace, I've learned, is not the end of the story. Not when the person you walked away from is the kind who would rather burn the truth than live with it. The calm was only the intermission. The real storm hadn't hit yet. It arrived on a Thursday afternoon. From Dr. Celia Mitchell. Subject: professional notice. I clicked it open casually at first, sipping tea, until I saw the second line. I want to inform you that Ethan Barnes has filed a formal complaint against me with the state licensing board. My chest constricted. I reread it twice, then a third time. He hadn't just rewritten the narrative to friends. He hadn't just positioned himself as the misunderstood victim. He had escalated it to a legal accusation against his own therapist, someone who had done nothing but give him a safe space and speak the truth. My stomach turned as I continued reading. He claims that I manipulated the session to sabotage your relationship. He alleges I used coercive language to influence your perception. Your name will likely be referenced in the investigation. My pulse pounded in my ears. Ethan wasn't just revising history, he was weaponizing it. This wasn't heartbreak, this wasn't confusion, this wasn't a wounded man lashing out. This was calculated retaliation. A man who would rather destroy a therapist's career than accept the consequences of his own words. And suddenly, every moment of the past 3 years snapped into painfully clear focus. I took a deep breath and drafted a reply. Dr. Mitchell, I'm so sorry this is happening. Please know that I am fully willing to provide a statement confirming exactly what was said in our session. Ethan made those remarks voluntarily, unprompted, and with confidence. This is not your fault. I stand by your professionalism completely. Please let me know how I can support you. Warmly, Willow Carrington. My hands trembled as I hit send. Not with fear, with anger. Not the red-hot kind, but a cold, righteous anger that comes from finally seeing someone clearly. Ethan wasn't fragile. He wasn't confused. He wasn't hurt. He was dangerous. That night I couldn't sleep. My condo was quiet, but my mind was loud. I lay in bed replaying everything. The subtle digs, the constant comparisons, the casual way he framed our relationship as temporary, the way he made my friendships inconvenient, the way he framed emotional dependency as intimacy. And worst of all, the way he looked at Dr. Mitchell the day of our session. Not ashamed, not conflicted. Smug, as if he believed he had her under control too. As if he expected her to validate him. As if the truth he revealed wasn't a confession, but a strategy. I had been blind, but I wasn't blind now. I finally understood. He didn't think he lost me because he hurt me. He thought he lost me because someone interfered, and he was punishing that someone. I decided something that night, lying in the half-dark. This was not going to be my story's ending. I wasn't going to let fear linger in my home. I wasn't going to let his shadow reclaim a corner of my life. I wasn't going to let his cruelty redefine me. I'd already survived the shattering of my relationship. I could survive the aftershocks. And more importantly, I could grow from them. So I rebuilt. Slowly. Deliberately. I reconnected with friends I'd lost. I started joining weekend group runs again. I went out to brunch instead of waiting for Ethan to decide if he felt like going. I bought new plants for the condo. I rearranged the furniture. I changed the lighting. I made the space mine again, physically, emotionally, spiritually. I even opened myself to dating again. Not seriously, not urgently, but softly, lightly, curiously. Nothing heavy, nothing binding. Freedom should be eased into like warm water. A month after Ethan moved out, I stood in my living room, coffee in hand, sunrise spilling through the windows in soft gold. This was the first morning I woke up without replaying his voice in my head. The condo was quiet. No tension, no walking on eggshells, no wondering if I'd be good enough for a future he didn't plan to include me in. Just me, and air, and light. For the first time in a long time, I felt grateful. Grateful for Dr. Mitchell. Grateful for my friends. Grateful for the clarity that hurt but saved me. Grateful that I walked out of that therapy room instead of staying for another minute of being someone's emotional rehearsal. Grateful I chose myself. I took a slow breath, closed my eyes, and whispered to the quiet room. Peace was waiting for me the whole time. I just needed to close the right door. And for the first time, I truly believed it.